Please sit in a comfortable meditation posture and close the eyes. Put all attention on the silence that's always there deep in the mind. Connect with that silence. Become the silence. You are the silent witness. Now listen to the words of the Yoga Vashishta. Continuing today, chapter 36 of Book 5, verse 91. The same unchanging consciousness presents these hundreds of changing scenes to us, just as the same and unchanging light of the sun shows 1,000 varying forms and the color to the sight. The same consciousness sees at a glance all these great multitudes of objects that fill the infinite space on all sides. In all the three times of the present, past, and future. The identical pure consciousness, the silent witness, knows at once the various states of all things presented in this vast phenomenal world, in all the three times that are extant, gone by, and are to come hereafter. At one and the same time, this pure consciousness reflects all things existent in the present, past, and future times. It is full with the forms of all things existing in the infinite space of the universe, knowing the events of the three times and seeing the endless phenomena of all worlds present before it. Divine consciousness continues full and perfect in itself and at all times. Understanding ever continues the same and unaltered, in spite of the great variety of its perceptions, of innumerable objects of sense and thought, such as the different tastes of sweet and sour in honey and nimble fruit at the same time. Consciousness by abandonment of mental desires and knowing the natures of all things by reducing their dualities into units is in its state of acuteness. It views them alike with an equal eye, and at the same time, in spite of the varieties of objects and their great difference from one another. By viewing all existence as non-existence, you get rid of your existing pains and troubles. By seeing all existence in the light of nothingness, you avoid the suffering of existing evils. The intellect being withdrawn from its view of the events of the three senses, and being freed from the words, proves to be described only in negative terms. There ensues a state of one's perpetual unconsciousness of his soul or self-existence. In this state of the soul, it is equal to Brahman, which is neither nothing at all or the all of itself. Its absorption in perfect tranquility is called its liberation from all feelings. The intellect, weakened by its will, does not see the soul in a clear light, as the deceived eye has only a dim and hazy side of the world. The intellect, weakened by the dirt of its desire and dislike, is impeded in its heavenly flight like a bird caught in a snare. They who have fallen into the snare of delusion, for their ignorant choice of this or that, are like blind birds falling into the net in search of their prey. Entangled in the meshes of desire and confined in the pit of worldliness, our fathers were barred from this unimpeded sight of spiritual light and endless delight. In vain did our forefathers flourish for a few days on the surface of this earth, only to be swept away by a gust of wind, like fluttering flies and gnats into the ditch. If these foolish pursuers of painful worldly pleasures had known the path of truth, they would never have fallen into the dark pit of unsubstantial pursuits. Foolish folks are subject to repeated pains and pleasures by their various choices of things. They follow the fate of short-lived worms, born to move and die in their own ditches and ponds. He is said to be really alive who lives true to nature and who, by the rising cloud of his knowledge of truth, suppresses his mirage of desires and aversions. The hot and foul fumes of fancy fly far away from the pure light of reason, just as the hazy mist of night is dispersed by the bright beams of moonlight. I hail that soul which dwells as the inseparable consciousness in me. At last I come to know my God that resides like a rich gem, enlightening all the worlds in myself. I have long thought upon and sought after you, and at last I have found you rising in myself. I have chosen you from all others. Whatever you are, I hail you, my Lord, as you appear in me. I hail you in me as the silent witness, O Lord of gods, in your form of infinity within myself, and in the shape of bliss within my soul of bliss. I hail you, O Supreme Spirit, the silent witness, who is superior to and master of all. I bow down to that cloudless light, shining like the full moon within me, and to that identical form which is free from all predicates and attributes. It is the self risen as light in myself. The soul is identical to that blissful soul which I find in myself. Chapter 35. Prahlad in praise of self-realization. Prahlad continued. Om is the proper form of the One, devoid of all modifications. That Om is this all that is contained in the world. It is intelligence devoid of flesh, fat, blood, and bones. It abides in all things and is the enlightener of the sun and all other luminous bodies. It warms the fire and moistens the water. It gives sensation to the senses and enjoys all things in the manner of a king. It rests without sitting. It goes without walking. It is active in its inactivity It acts all without coming into contact with anything. This is the silent witness. The silent witness is the past and gone, and also the present and even now. It is both the next moment and the remote future also. The silent witness is all that is fit and proper, and likewise, whatever is unfit and improper. Undaunted, the silent witness produces all productions and spreads the worlds over one another. The silent witness continues to turn the worlds around, from the sphere of Brahma to the lower grounds of glass. Though unmoving and immutable, yet the silent witness is as fleeting and changeable as the flying wind. The silent witness is inert as the solid rock and more transparent than the subtle ether. The silent witness moves the minds of men like winds shaking the leaves of trees. The silent witness directs the organs of sense, like a charioteer manages his horses. The silent witness as consciousness sits as the lord of this bodily horse, carried about like a chariot by the equestriations of the senses. Sitting at its own ease as sole monarch, the silent witness enjoys the fruitions of the bodily actions. The silent witness is to be diligently sought after and meditated upon and praised at all times, because only this way can one have his salvation from the pains of his age and death and the evils of ignorance. The silent witness is easily to be found and as easy to be known as a friend. It dwells like the bumblebee in the recess of everyone's lotus-like heart. Uncalled and not invoked, it appears of itself from within the body. At a slight call, it appears manifest to view. It's important to notice that Vasishtha says, the silent witness dwells like the bumblebee in the recesses of everyone's lotus-like heart. This is literally the experience when first connecting with the silent witness. We are connecting with the silent witness on the level of the pranamaya kosha. This is the subconscious mind. This is our first place where we can connect with the silent witness. It exists on all more subtle koshas, but does not exist on the level of Annamaya kosha in a way that we can connect with. When we connect with the silent witness on the level of the pranamaya kosha, there arises a fluttering sensation in the heart. This fluttering sensation is well described, like the bumblebee in the recess of everyone's lotus-like heart. It is literally a fluttering feeling in the heart area of the physical body, but it is beyond the physical body. It is located in the pranamaya kosha. As we connect to deeper levels of the silent witness, we lose that wonderful feeling in the heart area of the physical body. And we become more and more distant from the physical world. Constant service and attention on this all opulent Lord never makes him proud or haughty, as they do any other rich master by his humble attendants. This Lord is the silent witness, and as closely situated in everybody as a fragrance and fluidity are inherent in flowers and sesame seeds, and as flavor is inseparably connected with liquid substances. Our lack of reason makes us ignorant of the silent witness that is situated in ourself. We use this facility of intellect to locate the silent witness. Let's review the steps. They're very simple. We look for this silence that is always there deep in the mind. When we do that, we're using the intellect to distinguish between what is silent and what is not silent. We find that which is silent, and then we become that silence. Becoming the silence is a simple matter of intention. We simply intend, I am the silent witness. And we let go of all preconceived notions of what we used to think we are. We let go of I am the body. We let go of I am a being with a certain history. I went to this school. I did these things. All of that is let go. And we simply become the deep inner silence. As we come to know by our reasoning with this supreme Lord, the silent witness situated in us, we come to feel an indescribable delight, like the sight of a beloved and loving friend. As this dearest friend appears to view, his benign influence shedding full bliss about us, we come to see such glorious prospects as to immediately forget all our earthly enjoyments. All a person's charms are broken and fall, and all his enemies are put to an end whose mind is not perforated by his cravings, like horses dug by injurious mice. When this one is in all, the silent witness is seen in us. The whole world is seen in him. He being heard, everything is heard in him. He being felt, all things are felt in him. He being present, the whole world is present before us. He wakes over the sleeping world and destroys the darkness of the ignorant. He removes the dangers of the distressed and bestows his blessing upon the holy. He moves about as the living soul of all and rejoices as the animal soul in all objects of enjoyment. It is he who glows in all visible objects in their various colors. He sees himself in himself. He is quietly situated in all things, like pungency resides in peppers, sweetness in sugar, and the like. He is situated as intelligence and sensations in the inner and outward parts of living beings. The silent witness forms the essence and existence of all objects in the entire universe. The silent witness forms the emptiness of the sky and the velocity of the winds. The silent witness is the light of fiery bodies and the moisture of aqueous substances. The silent witness is the firmness of the earth and the warmth of fire. The silent witness is the coldness of the moon and the entry of everything in the world. The silent witness is blackness in inky substances and coldness in the particles of snow. As fragrance resides in flowers, so the silent witness resides in all bodies. The essence of the silent witness fills all space, just as the essence of time fills all duration. The omnipotence of the silent witness is the fountain of all forces, just as his omnipotence supports everything, everywhere. As the Lord unfolds everything to light by the external organ of sight and the internal organ in thinking, so the great God enlightens gods by his own light. I am that I am without attributes in me. I am like the clear air not stained by particles of flying dust. I am like lotus leaves untouched by their supporting and surrounding waters. As a rolling stone gathers no moss, so there is nothing that touches or bears any relation to my airy mind. The pain and pleasure which affects the body cannot affect my form of the silent witness. Now let us continue, established in the silent witness, and begin Trimana Sanyama, the esoteric Maha Mantra, to balance all karmic traces that have arisen from today's reading of the Yoga Vasishta. Hare Krishna, Hare Rama. Jai Gurudev.